here with producer Rob. Rob, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing great, Dave. Excited actually because of our guest.
Yeah, we got a great guest today. We got David Diaz Infante from San Jose, California. Dave, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Good morning, guys. How things going up there?
Well, Oregon is always Oregon. You've been here. Last time I saw you, we were our wives and us. We got to play golf at Eagle Crest, Oregon, and had some lunch that day, and then we had a big dinner that night with our sponsors, and it was fun to meet you guys. Judy and I loved it.
Yeah, we had a good time too. And anytime you get to hit the little white ball around is always a good day in my book. So, and it was good to go up to Bend, Oregon. I haven't been up there in a while. Obviously, I'm here in California, and the home is Arizona, and I always look forward to getting back there because that's the golf capital of the world almost.
Oh man, we're looking at buying a place in Mesa right now. So,
good spot.
Yeah. I remember that day in the golf course because I remember on hole number 1, I very uncharacteristically beat you on that hole. It was the only hole in 18 holes I beat you because I hit a 3-wood off the fairway about 180 and landed at about 4 feet from the cup. Do you remember that?
Yeah, the only thing I wouldn't say if I were you is you hit a 3-wood 180.
Well, I don't. I know.
Something to say over the air, but
as soon as I'm.
That's the way it goes for me. People always remember beating me at something. I don't remember much.
Yeah, when I'm losing, my memory goes out quick. So.
Well, hey, David, I wanted to, when Dave mentioned your name, I was like, man, that name's really familiar to me, and I was like, well, I wonder why. And obviously, you played football and had such an illustrious career, but you remember back when it really started for you in Frankfurt, Germany?
Frankfurt Galaxy.
Yeah, with Jack Elway was the coach, I believe.
Yeah.
And they signed you. I was a young reporter for the Stars and Stripes. I used to cover the Frankfurt Galaxy, and I remembered you. And then I remembered your career and always just kind of followed your name and stuff like that. So it's so awesome to come back full circle. I was like 19 years old back in the day. Not to give away our ages, but man, you end up having a great career. Hopefully you enjoyed your time in Frankfurt. I love my time over in Germany. I wanted to kind of point that out because that was such a cool experience to be able to cover the team and meet all those folks. But again, I end up probably interviewing you at one point.
What time was you were stationed in the Army base over there?
Yeah, I was at the Stars and Stripes, which is just south of Frankfurt, and I was on the sports desk, and we used to cover the World League of American Football, and obviously the Galaxy was part of that. And what an exciting atmosphere, wasn't that?
I tell you what, I have fond memories of Frankfurt, Germany, the German people, and our experience over there. It really kind of kickstarted my career again that I thought was over, like I've thought many times throughout the course of my career. And I tell you what, though, the people of Germany were awesome. We sold out the stadium.
Yep.
It was like a rock concert. They loved tailgating. They were called power parties. It was a great experience. I always tell my buddies, I used to call my buddies in the NFL, go, hey, you may be making more money than me, but we are rock stars over here.
Yeah.
And so we had a blast, and like they had it was in the soccer stadium. I forget the name of the stadium.
Wald Stadium. Wald Stadium. Wald, W-A-L-D. Yeah, Wald Stadium.
But right above our locker room was a corporate bar area where we went up to after the games and mingled with all the sponsors and people from Germany, and it was such a cool environment. We had an unbelievable time there, and that's what really kickstarted my career again. And it was through Jack Elway. I was finished up my degree back at San Jose State and started coaching there. And Jack called me, and he goes, "Well, you could coach when you're done playing." He goes, "You're not done playing yet." I said, "Absolutely." So I took that invitation and ran with it, and we had a great time. And me and my wife she'd come over for the last couple of weeks of the season, and we traveled through Europe together. We weren't married then yet, but we ended up getting engaged. I think my second year there.
Okay.
When we were back in New York playing the New York Knights.
Mm-hmm.
And so, fond memories of Germany.
Marvin Lewis, wasn't Marvin Lewis the coach of the Knights? Didn't Marvin Lewis get his start back with the Knights or something like that?
Boy, he might have. You know, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Because a friend of mine, an old offensive line coach, Larry Sirline, was the offensive line coach then too.
Yeah.
So yeah, small world.
Yeah, crazy.
You know, the world of football is super connected. No matter whether it's the NFL, World League, CFL, XFL, I played in them all.
Yeah.
I never said no to a job. That's one of my claims of fame. I love working. I love ball. The game has been good to me, and I think I've been good at the game.
That's awesome. Well, again, great to reconnect with you, and I was really excited when Dave mentioned your name. So let's get on with the show, man.
No, that's fun, Dave. One of the things that happens with Rob and I is he's from St. Louis, and so like before we got on the air with you this morning, we have bacon and flapjacks because pancakes are called flapjacks back in St. Louis. But Rob's pretty big into. Well, he likes the St. Louis Cardinals. I like the Cincinnati Reds, so we just don't like each other at all. During those.
You know, I know a few people out in St. Louis. A good friend of mine is married to Joe Buck.
Okay.
And I used to ride a motorcycle sometimes with Tony Twist.
Oh, yeah, the Twister.
Buddy, he used to do some charity rides, and I have some fond memories of the St. Louis area, of St. Louis Rams. I did a couple of cups of coffee with the Rams down in when they were down in LA in 88, 89. So familiar with people in that organization. And
well, I just got.
St. Louis, pretty cool town.
Yeah, you mentioned Tony Twister's. Never been a more intimidating person, but a real nice person. Nice guy once you get to know him. But
Tough guy.
yeah, tough guy. Yeah. So
Well,
anyway.
you ain't got any love for Cincinnati?
Yeah, well, the chili's good. You know what I mean? I love the Highline. Is it Highline chili? What's the name of it?
Skyline.
Skyline chili.
Yeah.
Oh,
Been there
gosh.
too.
Dave, you know what my least favorite food in the whole world is? Chili.
Well, guys, I got to give you a little insight. I'm sitting here on my couch in Los Gatos, California, and my dog just snuggled up on my lap here. So I don't know if you can see her or not.
What's the dog's name?
That's Kona, my little bulldog pit mix.
Oh, Kona, welcome to the show.
Yeah, we call her Kona Bigwig.
Well, we are in our studio now. We're making it comfortable. We got John Wayne behind us. We got flag up above Rob. We got a big old Trump keeping men out of women's sports. Big poster behind Rob. And, what's that?
All things that I love.
Yeah, I know. There's so much we could cover. We'll have to do another show in a few months with you. But you know, through Dane and everything, I get got a little insights. But you know, I'm going to start this, but you're going to have to jump in and let me know some of the details. But one of the fascinating things we do on our show, Dave, is we do politics, people, sports, Jesus, and people. So we kind of cover a lot of the bases there. So it's not just sports. Like your story is fascinating. Rob and I are huge sports fans. We've played a lot, but you know, you've had a special career. And the thing I heard the other day was, I think at one point you were called the hardest working guy in NFL. And you know, so
I've been called a lot of things.
I'm sure you have.
And that's one of them. But certainly my path to the NFL and pro football has been probably the one less traveled. But I think one of my redeeming qualities has always been just dumb enough not to quit, I like to say. And I knew what I wanted, and I was willing to work to get it. And I knew that circumstances were temporary, and to keep your eye on the prize. And when one door shut, another door opened, and I was never afraid to step through it. So that's what kind of carried me on through my career. And I always believed that. I always thought, you know, and as you go through life, you meet various people in different situations, different experiences and circumstances. But whenever I did fail, or quote unquote fail, I learned to redefine what success was. And the only way I could fail is if someone outworked me. So as long as I was working hard and I was doing, and no one could outwork me, then I knew I was always going to be improving. And whenever things did not work out my way, I never looked outside. I always looked inside. And what could I do to get better? What could I do to change my circumstances? What could I do to create more value? And that's what really kept me going. And sure enough, I ended up breaking through. And, you know, I think for a while, I think I was the oldest rookie in the NFL at one point. And I was on the practice roster at 31. got my first start in the NFL at 32 against John Randall and Minnesota Vikings on Monday Night Football. So I've always been grateful for the path that I've taken, and it's been unique and it's been mine. And like I said, the game's been good to me, and I think I've been good for the game.
Hey, Dave, what do you say to people before we get into who you played for and all that glossy stuff? I appreciate your hard work thing. I mean, kind of the same boat for Rob and I both. You know, you grew up low blue collar, and you just got to fight for everything, whether it's business or sports. But how do you describe like what it's like to be not John Elway or not be those kind of superstars that ESPN focuses on for the most part? But I mean, I coached football for 10 years, and it takes a whole roster full of guys to make it all happen. But the people only see the quarterback and the running back and the wide receiver, maybe the star linebacker. How do you look at it when you look at the NFL and all the football you've played, where it's all the role players, which I think is a good segue later in the show to having us all get in our lane and do our job, because there's always got to be somebody out there that's doing all the work that has to get done, because there are 11 players on the field. How did that fit in what's your take on as a coach now and a player then?
Well, I think most great teams are built from the inside out, and that starts with the trenches. And then I think being an offensive lineman, just the very nature of the position, it requires you to be unselfish and to do the dirty work and the work that no one realizes until you do something wrong. But that's the life that you choose, and that's sometimes chosen for you. But I know one thing, and I've been fortunate throughout the course of my career to win championships at every level. And I've been around some great teammates, some great coaches, and great leaders. And so I think there's a few principles that exist at every level. I don't care if it's high school, college, or the NFL. To reach your pinnacle, to be considered the best in your own arena, requires all the same things. That's a lot of unselfish people that are willing to give more of themselves, and put the team first always. And as many superstars as we had when we had our run in Denver, and that was winning back-to-back Super Bowls in 97 and 98, and really should have won it in 96. But that proved to be a catalyst when we lost to Jacksonville in the AFC Championship game that came into Mile High. And I remember Terrell Davis had 130 yards at halftime. We stopped running the ball and got in a shootout with Mark Brunell, and they got hot, and we didn't. And that game, I tell you what, there was like a dark cloud over Denver after that. But that really spurred our comeback the next couple of years, and the run we went on actually for a few years after that as well. We had superstars, but back then I think we never looked at ourselves historically as one of the most talented teams. But when you look back at it, we really were. I think we had a lot of guys off a lot of free agents, a lot of blue collar guys, and then we had sprinkled in some big name guys too. So it's interesting now historically look at us. You look at obviously the John Elways, Terrell Davises, Steve Atwater, Neil Smith, Romanowski. We had a lot of good players. Shannon Sharp, Ed McCaffrey, Rod Smith. But one thing that characterized all our guys is they decided to put the team first. And when that happens in professional sports, that's when special things take place. And really any kind of team sport.
Dave,
teams that win it all. I think those are one of the requirements, to have a bunch of unselfish players, and where the locker room controls the standard and the expectations. So you can bring in guys from the outside, and they automatically find out, wow, this is done differently here, and there's a different standard. And when those standards are met and kept and realized, that's when great things happen.
Dave, let me ask you a question on that one. Like in the NFL, because we haven't been at that level, we're stopped at the high school or small college level. What starts that first nail in the board to make that happen? Is it the superstar? Is it the coach? or is it just a bunch of guys that kind of collectively come together and make that happen?
Well, I think there's two things. First of all, it always starts vertically from the top down of what those standards are and what the expectations are. And I remember Mike Shanahan came in '95. He's one of the guys that brought me in there. And automatically it wasn't, hey, we want to be good. No, our goal is to win the Super Bowl. Now, how do we do that? And you have to reverse engineer that goal. And then, so the directive always starts north to south, but it's always most powerful when it goes east to west. And that's when your best players set that standard and meet the standard. They're not exceptions to a rule; they are the rule. And John Elway was that guy for us. You know, he was the first guy in there, always doing the extra work, always being a leader. And as much of a superstar he was always one of the guys too. So we go out and have our Thursday nights, and we go drink a few beers and build relationships. I think that's what life is all about. I mean, what good is it? The game fades, the Super Bowl rings fade, everything else does, and the ring is just a symbol of the relationships that you had and guys that you played with. And I think that's what people miss. And quite frankly, that's what life's about. Otherwise, what are we doing if we can't affect people, if we can't share with people of ourselves and with each other? So to me, that's what life's always been about. And I think the championship teams I've been a part of have always exemplified that. The brotherhood, the friendships, the genuine care and concern, the love you have for each other. That's what allows you to do great things.
Man, I appreciate you saying that, because when people ask me about, 44 years of coaching high school stuff, I'm like, your very best day is just me and the coaches sitting around, before or after something we've done, sitting around after practice and just chatting about lineups, and then it would always spin off into family. It would spin off into a particular young player that we're all concerned about, good or bad. And I appreciate you saying that, because that, to me, is the ultimate part of being that coach, because you always have the pressure of winning and losing, and you get way too much credit when you win, and you get way too much blame when you lose. But we call it hanging a left here on the show. And our left now, what I wanted to ask is, I wasn't planning on asking you this early, but so long career in NFL. I didn't know about the Frankfurt Galaxy until Rob came this morning. He was so excited to share that with you. But when it comes to the very foundation of who David Diaz is it sounded like your dad was quite a guy. Do you want to talk about that at all?
Sure, yeah, that's no problem at all. Yeah, my dad was a interesting guy. Lived 9 lives, but he encompassed a lot of traits that I think I possess. He's one of those guys you could feel as soon as he walked in the room. I mean, there was an energy about him. He was a World War II veteran, the prisoner of war, part of the Zapata movement in Mexico, trying to lead a revolution. Knew John F. Kennedy, studied with Castro and Che Guevara. And so he was in jail when I was a kid. So just a very interesting upbringing. But through it all, he was a guy that was willing to die for what he believed in. He was a guy that was a leader and a change maker. He was a lot of things. He had a different impact on all of us. And he was a flawed man like us all as well. But his faith was always prominent. He was educated by the Jesuits as well down in Mexico. And he did a lot of things, running guns across the border, and a lot of things on the surface. Some people thought he was a criminal. Some people they were trying to kill him, and they wanted to incarcerate him, and they wanted to extradite him back to Mexico. But he had a different effect on all of us kids. And it's been interesting to look back on his own history, his military records, his records here in the States, a bunch of different aliases. I mean, the guy was, He was the world's most interesting man before the commercials came out. Spoke 7 languages. Can be a violent man. Can be a dangerous man. But also, you know,
No, I can go over here for a minute if you want me to, Dave. Yep, we don't have to keep going on that one.
No, that's fine. He was a lovely man.
Yeah. Hey, really quick, take a breather. When I was 19 years old.
That's fine.
You're good? Okay.
Okay. And it was people could say a lot of different things about him. But my mom is the one that really kept it all together. And when he was in jail. But
what was your mom's name?
Elna Maria. She spoke 3 languages. My dad spoke 7. But he was we always knew we were loved. And in the end, people try to look at in jail, criminal, running guns, you know, new mafia, but you know, just things that I guess when I went through it all, there's no such thing over there. Everybody's got a story. That just happens to be part of my story. So.
Our Chocolate Lab Lucy's our co-producer. She's getting a little excited about your story here.
I love that.
So, well, it's interesting you say that. I know you got a little emotional there. My parents were lifetime alcoholics, and at 19, I came back from college one day, and my mom was died of alcoholism, and I was the youngest of 6. And my dad and I were having lunch. She didn't cook for him at that point. She was too far into her alcoholism, and so he's 61 years old, and I made him a big lunch, and we're sitting there talking, and all of a sudden I looked at my dad, and I got a pretty good memory, and I hadn't seen him drink for a while. And I said, Dad, when's the last time you had a drink? And my dad didn't say a lot. He was pretty quiet. He was a 6 foot, 3.5 Swede from Minnesota.
So my mom was Finnish, so I know that quiet.
Oh man.
Style for sure.
Yeah, he didn't say a lot, but he looks right at me, points his finger at me, and he goes, I quit. And I mean, I couldn't feel anything in my whole body for a couple minutes because I'd been dreaming of that statement my whole 19 years. And I said, finally, I go, you quit what? I said, quit beer. Wine wasn't a big deal in 1976 or whatever it was, 77. And I said, so what's going on? He goes, I quit. And that was it, man. He didn't say anything else. He's smoking a Camel and has a cup of coffee, and he points his cigarette at me. He goes, don't talk to me about my cigarettes. I go, no problem. But he quit drinking cold turkey. And a year and a half later, he accepted Christ and started going to church with me for a year and a half before he passed away of a stroke. And it's the most courageous thing I've ever seen done in my entire life. And I've seen some pretty cool stuff. And people always ask, well, how do you reconcile all the bad things your parents did? And my mom died 10 years later, of alcoholism. But I said, I remember the good stuff they did, and I took that. And the bad stuff my parents did, I just tried to learn from it and move past it. And it sounded like you could write a whole book on your dad.
Well, it's interesting. My daughter was just finished her dissertation. And
Really?
She did it on my dad.
Wow.
And interviewed all of his kids, kind of through that lens. But it's very interesting you say that, Dave, because that's one thing I have learned. And I actually wrote a poem about my dad, and it was called Papa. It was, I often wonder how it could be to not know someone so close to me. I often wonder why I feel inside where love and hate battle, there's no place to hide. I often wonder what I tell you today. I guess it doesn't matter. I love you anyway. I often wonder how it could be, and if my son will ever know me.
That's good.
And that really kind of set me free, because I realized that I lost your guys' picture. I don't know if you guys still see me.
No, we lost your picture too.
Here.
We're still on audio though. We can keep going.
Yeah, and I realize, and as you talk about your parents, is, I hope my kids forgive me, and that's ultimately the only choice that you do have, Dave. And I learned I can take all the good and I can leave the bad. That's the choice I do have.
Agree.
And really the only choice that we all have. And that's how I kind of settled my piece to my father. And I remember all the good things and learned things and, that I'd like to change. And those are the changes I probably implemented with my kids. And so we can forge our own relationships. And that's your opportunity as a parent, right? It's your chance. And it's never going to be perfect. But I believe when I look back at my parents, they did the best they could with what they had, where they were at. And I hope my kids view our relationship the same way.
You know, Dave, I think, Rob and I talk a lot about family too. I think it's, and I'm spot on. I know we're both spot on with what you just said. My mom was a Rosy Riveter in World War II. She ran the Alpenrose Dairy post World War II with like 500 employees. She ran the whole kitchen. Played hockey in high school in Bentley, Alberta, back in the late 20s. She was just tough as nails. And my dad didn't say, what's that?
Quiet tough.
Yeah, unless she was drinking, of course, and then all the wheels came off of the wagon. But she was a smart lady. She reminded me, honestly, and I didn't ever tell you this when we were down there playing golf that day when I met you and your wife, and you and I sat in the same golf cart, and I listened to you a lot that day, and I think you would have fit right in with our family because my mom was a lot like you. She accepted everybody. We didn't color code in our family. We didn't financial code anybody. Everybody in the world was welcome in our house. And that's the standard she set. And I remember listening to you that day about how much you give back. And I want to ask you what you're giving back now in a second. But my mom would get a box out in the 60s and the early 70s. And she would make a homemade pie, homemade cookies. She'd go get stuff out of the fruit room. We had a real fruit room with the big door, and it was really cool in the summer. And she would put canned goods and jams and jelly she made. And we would go over to somebody's house, like say today, like Rob's house, my house, or your house. And she would show up at your house. And even though you had more money than my mom, and we're giving you that box full of food. And that's just who my mom and dad were. And later, when I got older, I asked my mom, I said, Mom, why did we go to people's houses that had more money than us? And she said, David, everybody needs to be loved and validated. And she goes, money does not do that for you. She goes, relationships do that for you. And knowing your conversation, and right now, today, you don't have to, but your passion for young people is huge. Dane and I did a lot of talking about this, but you're giving back now to your former alma mater in high school football. And, do you got anything to mention on that?
Yeah, I think, first of all, I said no for the first 90 days when they're asking me to come back, and a lot of the alums and some of my good friends were calling, and I finally decided to because I realized what had taken place at our school was such a storied tradition. It's been around since 1851. Just got 175th year this year, and our young men need a strong voice now more than ever. And football is one of the most incredible teaching tools of what tough things can do to produce tough people. And I'm not talking about you hit me, I hit you, but being tough and being resilient and being able to weather the storms that are inevitably going to hit everybody's life. And what do you fall back on? And that's your faith, your family, and your friends. And football is all about that, as you know. And so it's been an interesting challenge to come back, especially in the environment that is California and kind of the whole, I don't know what other word to use, but the wokeness and, the attack on masculinity and trying to tell young men that there's nothing toxic about being masculine. In fact, it's a requirement. We need more of it when it's properly channeled and properly addressed and properly defined, first of all. So I've really enjoyed coming back. It's been challenging. It's been frustrating. It's also been inspiring. because I've seen what's taking place. I think hopefully I've been a positive, fresh voice in our school environment. And because of my position, I think I have a unique ability to speak freely and openly, because I don't need to be there. I was asked to be there. And if one thing you ever know about me is I'm not very good at hiding my feelings about what I feel, what I believe in, and what I'm willing to do. Because I just look at my own father and what he was willing to do for what he believed in. And I think that's needed now more than ever. But I think how you do it, I think, is important. And as important it is to be bold and brave and forthright and truthful, I believe that love always wins over hate. And I don't do it because I despise anybody's way of looking at things or their viewpoints on things. I do it because I love what I believe in. And I'm willing to explain it. I'm willing to share it. And I'm always willing to ask questions. I'm curious about how you got to where you are. And I think that dialogue is needed more than ever today. The problem is some people have a hard time telling you what they really believe in. They'll tell you what they don't like. They have a hard time telling you what they do believe in. And I think that's we're at an interesting time in our society today. And all you got to do is look all over and you see examples of it. And, and Charlie Kirk's probably the greatest example recently of someone that was willing to have those conversations and be open and honest about where he comes from, why he believes in what he believes. I was curious about why other people believed in what they were saying they believed in. And that dialogue is important, but it's important to understand some people are very threatened by that. And that's a real shame of where we're at right now. But I think it's even more reason to speak up now more than ever, because I think our faith requires it from us.
No, that's good stuff. I think like when you give all that stuff back to say your team and everything, the thing I noticed about you the day we met down there on the golf course was the fact that you didn't talk down to me, even though I'm like high school. You're like, you've been to the Super Bowl. Which is the highest you can go in athletics. And you didn't talk down to me at all. You talked with me. You were curious about what I did. And so that struck me as, David Diaz is a guy who's, he's in this for relationships, and then I'm thinking you're learning every day from people around you. So that's how I kind of took you.
Well, I appreciate that because I think that's really who I am. And just because probably my background, I went to development on a full scholarship. I still have the gym, but I'll still team captain. And so I always realized that people gave to me when they didn't have to. So I've always felt a responsibility to give back, no matter where I've been, and especially to young people, because we're all trying to figure out. And James, to be honest with you, I'm still trying to figure it out. I'm still asking questions.
Yeah,
I'm still trying to develop. I'm still trying to grow. And I think that's when you think you've got it all and learned it all, that's when you're lost.
Yeah.
And that's what I think what you see in people. That's why there's all these isms out there now, because the isms become your belief system. And that takes you farther away from what the truth is and what we're called to do in our faith.
Hey, I got a comment on your gym comment there, and then I got another hang a left here. But in 2000, probably 2, Newburgh Tennis, we have the biggest program in the state. 2000, maybe 3, we win our first league title. We're supposed to go to Medford, Oregon, Southern Oregon, for a 12-team, biggest team tournament in the state. It was more important, really, team-wise, than the state tournament, which kind of individualizes everybody. So we get down to Medford, and they told us, you're going to sleep in the gym. I'm like, all right, okay, it isn't going to cost us any money. We didn't have any money, so we get down there, and we're in the middle of South Medford, North Medford High School, which is a big school, and we're playing hoops at 1 a.m, and all of a sudden about 5:30, I got this flashlight right in my face, and I'm sleeping on the half court of the basketball court in my sleeping bag, and this guy's sitting right above me, and he's the 35-year head football coach at North Medford, which is a powerhouse. I think Holberg is his name, one of our top coaches, top 10 in the history of the state of Oregon. And he looks at me and goes, "Who the hell are you?" I didn't know what to say. And I go, I'm Dave Brown, head boys tennis coach, Newburgh High School. He goes, "What are you doing in my gym?" And he was there to teach PE. And I looked at him and I tried to explain. And he goes, "Who told you could be in here?" And I said, "Your athletic director." And he goes, "Well, I don't want you in here." And I said, "Well, too bad, we're here." And then I was told to come in here, and I got, I only had the varsity. I only had 15 guys plus like 3 coaches with me. And he goes, "Well, you're gonna have to take a shower." And I said, "Can we get the guys in the locker room?" And he goes, "Yeah, but you can come in and come to into my office and the coach's office. It's a better shower." And so I get in there and, getting ready to go, which was a blessing. And we talked and talked. And then he came out and watched some of the tournament. We chatted a couple different times that day. And it was super fun. But I asked him one question. I go, "So you've been a head football coach a long time, and I heard you got asked to be the athletic director." No, the superintendent of the Medford school system, 2 big high schools, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, "Yeah," he goes, "a lot of people want me to do it. But you know why I'm not?" And I go, "Why?" He goes, "I'm good. I'm a really good football coach. I'm a good teacher, but I'm not $70 million good. And that's what our budget is in this district." And he goes, "I'll stick with football." And I never forgot that, because he was very humble. He goes, "I'm not $70 million good." And but yeah, sleeping on the gym floor, getting, guys scared the daylights out of me. So anyway, well, going back to like for you though, can we just trace back into everything that you've been involved with, pro football, all the businesses you've done? How do your kids, you think, see you now after you've been through all this stuff? Do they think you're crazy? Do they think you're famous? Do they think you're just old? What do they think now?
They probably, I don't know, I'm just their dad. I'm football.
Okay.
Let's play football. They've been a part of it. And they know it's something I've done. It's never been who I am.
Okay.
And I guess that's the biggest difference. As much as hard as I worked at it, and the ups and downs and the perseverance, it still never became who I am. It's been a big part of shaping who I've become, just because the depth and wealth of my experiences through the game. But I've always understood the difference. I figured my dad was trying to take over a government and fought World War II and was a prisoner of war, and I've done nothing close to that. So I guess I've always had a good perspective on it, as much as I've enjoyed it and benefited from it. And whether it's doing working at ESPN or anything else, it's always something I did and something I enjoyed, because I'm a people guy, and I've been fortunate that everything I've done has been around people. And this is probably one of my greatest challenges. And I hear you talk about these greatest coaches in history and your winning record, and I laugh when I think about it. I've got the worst record I think ever in Bellarmine history, but I feel like we're doing good things, and I always know it's just a matter of time before we put this whole thing together. And it's really about our young men's experience,
Right.
And that's why I'm willing to fight so hard for it, because they've been denied the experience that I had at school. Because we were number 1 in the state of California, number 4 in the country. When we were in high school, I had 4 guys play in the NFL after that. And somehow some people thought that we had become a jock school. I said, no, you couldn't be part of the truth. We were a great school because we were good at everything. And some people thought that one exists at the expense of the other. And I believe completely the opposite, that one, they coexist equally and best when they're when excellence is what you're about, no matter what what area it's in. And so it's been an interesting journey coaching high school football. I've enjoyed it. And again, but it's a whole nother set of challenges that I'm going through. But it's, how long I'm going to do it, I'm not sure. I want to leave it better than I found it. And that's how I try to take on every experience of my life. So, and I don't know what that timeline looks like.
Well,
Sure.
Well, David, for a guy who's won Super Bowls, who's played all across the world, who's, been at the top of the state rankings, how difficult is what kind of pill is that to swallow? Because like I said, you've had so much success. Now you want the success for the kids, but they ultimately have to do it, and things are, kind of struggling. So how, what's your mindset? How are you working through that? Because again, you've been to the highest tip of the mountain. So, what about this?
Well, you got to remember also guys been cut 8 times. So,
Yeah, okay.
and I had to redefine success in my own personal career, what kept me going. And that was outworking people and knowing what my why was. And so, but it certainly has been a challenge. And in the conversations that you have people and people I'm closest with, is they know how much I've been very fortunate and won a lot of games. And so in one end, it's very frustrating. And I laugh at myself in that sense. But I also understand how we define success and what winning is. And that's really about our young men. But my goal is to have them experience both, to win the right way. And you have to, and my belief is you can be better because we're different, because we're meant for others, and because of our Christian, Catholic, Jesuit, all-boy environment that I think makes us better and unique, certainly in our own marketplace. And we just got to get back to our roots. And I think young men want structure. I think they want direction, and they want to be challenged. And
Absolutely.
And I think that's what we're doing. Because one thing our school has done, and it certainly has shaped my life, is we produce leaders. And that's because of our well-rounded education and being men of service. So I just figure this is how I'm being called to serve. So,
Hey, Dave, do me a favor here, would you? I got when you talk about like any pro franchise, like Rob, your favorite team in football is what?
Depends on who's winning.
Bad answer. Because my team's Minnesota Vikings, and man, we're all over the place. We find ways to lose. But I know the Broncos are a very proud franchise. They've been around a long time. A lot of people are crazy, but you have one massive fan. Well, two really, but my brother-in-law is a guy named Frank Murr, and he lives in Colorado Springs with my sister Judy. And if you go to their house, you're going to see Denver Bronco front door. You're going to see what's that?
Bronco fans are awesome.
Well, I mean, they got clocks with Denver Broncos. They got blankets. They got towels. They got cups and mugs. And Frank is like, Broncos all the way. And so, what would you say to he's a lifer from Denver too. I mean, he moved to Washington for, 25 years, but what would you say to a lifetime Broncos fan like Frank and Judy Murr?
Well, I'll tell you what, they had to wait a long time for their first Super Bowl win. And I know how much the pain of losing those 4 in a row, those 4 Super Bowls in the 80s. And it was just great to see being part of our first Super Bowl team there in Denver, Super Bowl 32. And the other unique thing about that is I've never seen a group of guys be more happy for a guy and a city. That'd be John Elway. See him win his first after losing 4 teams that he carried on his back for sure. And then to see the championship come to Denver for the first time, it was a special thing to be a part of because Denver Bronco fans, they're like SEC fans. When I first see this, it's going to sound like blasphemy. They're like Raider fans, but way classier. you know, and it's a great mix of people. And Omaha High Stadium was awesome. It was a phenomenal place to play, and our fans certainly deserved to see the winning ways of that franchise. And Mr. Bowen was a great owner. May he rest in peace. He treated us so well. And it's finishing to see the new ownership coming too, because I had a chance to talk with them as well. And you want to talk about humble, really great people. When you sit there and talk to the Penners, and they don't even introduce themselves as the owners or talk anything about them. They're asking questions about me and my time in Denver and what made it special. And I was really impressed by getting to meet them when we went back to one of our reunions. Denver Bronco fans, I tell you what, they're the best, and they're all over that state and all across, really, the West and Midwest, I'd say, from Montana to all those Idaho and California, we're everywhere. So it's been a lot of fun, and I certainly feel like it's been a privilege to be a part of their culture as well. So,
Do you still keep up with them? I mean, the Oregon boy, Bo Nix, is the quarterback. I mean, what do you expect him this year?
I love him. I think he's a player. Sean Payton's a hell of a coach.
Yeah.
But I keep up with it. But I got my hands full here. So I'm a fan of football, and I've also had a chance to coach in the league for a while. So I'm a fan of where my friends are working, because I know what they're going through, and I like to see them have success. And like I said, that's just part when you view life in terms of relationships you have and develop. It's easy to cheer for a lot of different teams, but certainly the Broncos are near and dear to my heart, and always will be.
Okay, I got this is where we hang another left to wrap up today here. But
I got a clock. I got a meeting coming up here.
how many minutes you got?
I got about 5 minutes.
Yeah,
Okay,
perfect.
there you go. It's going to be called. We kind of call it just random shuffle. I'm going to ask a quick question, and you only have one word to like a short sentence response. You'll go, Dave, and then Rob will go, I'll go, and it's going to be super fast. We'll do a few of these just so people can get a flavor for how we are all thinking today about stuff. So you ready?
Yep.
Favorite food?
Tacos.
Rob?
Barbecue.
Salmon. Favorite football player of all time?
Larry Little.
Marshall Falk.
Brett Favre. What is your favorite town you've ever been in? Town, city, I don't care. Town or city?
Parker, Colorado.
Interlaken, Switzerland.
A little tougher. I really liked Oconto, Wisconsin. It's a small little town in North Wisconsin. So would you pick seafood, chicken, or beef? If you can only eat one for the rest of your life, which one would you pick?
Beef. Give me a ribeye steak.
I'll take the ribeye, but I'll do the tomahawk ribeye. Beef all the way.
I'm going seafood. I'll take your steaks though. Those are awesome. Jesus, what do you think of Jesus?
Sacrifice.
The reason.
Love. What do you think about wokeness?
Can do without it.
It's upended American life.
Yeah, it's just negative. Where do you, besides Jesus and your immediate family, when you look at our country, what do you think of President Trump?
Game changer. Difference maker.
I'm definitely in favor of what's going on. A little concerned about some of the rapid nature and some of the video I'm seeing, but all in all, America seems to be a safer place. And that's what I want.
I think history will show that he'll have done more than almost any president in the history of the country.
Already have.
Yeah. Last question is you can have a little bit longer answer to this. What do you want? Like my wife says, we're not guaranteed tomorrow. She's had breast cancer and had all that. Dave, we talked all about that with the girls, but we're also not guaranteed even what we want to try to accomplish tomorrow. We just don't know what's going to happen. What do you want to accomplish today and maybe a little bit tomorrow? I'm not going too far. kind of what's at the top of your brain right now?
More of a general statement is I like to have impact. I want to make a difference.
Okay, Rob?
Yeah, I guess at this point in my life, I'm just looking for clarity on just some lingering issues that have kind of been around my life, just family questions, ancestry questions, things like that. Just some clarity as I'm moving into my later years.
Later years. Wow. That's one term for it.
Some people are later than me. Let's just be real honest, Dave.
I think I think for me this is the epitome of that here on earth right now, talking to two great guys. This is super fun. I just want to impact people every chance I get. I'm trying to be nicer. I'm trying to be stuff, but I'm going to be blunt. I was in front of the ice facility in downtown Portland last night and taking all that hate in and just trying to see how people react to certain stuff. But, Dave, we sure appreciate you being here. Maybe we can do it again sometime. I look forward to I'm 1-17 against you on golf holes. So the next time we're around each other, I definitely got to get another hole number 1.
Dave, you do work at a golf course, right?
I do.
So you should be maybe a little bit better.
Yeah, you gotta love a host of friends. Dave, if you come here, I can get you on a great golf course for $10, and I'll pay for the 10, and we'll play 18 up here, and we'll have a blast. And
you talk about Chehalem Glen?
Chehalem Glen, baby.
Bring about 15,000 balls.
It's a
You'll
tough course.
lose them.
It's tougher than Eagle Crest for sure. But Dave, please tell your wife hi, and it's been a pleasure to meet you. So thank you so much.
Yeah, it's been an honor to reconnect with you after all these years, and I'm so glad you had such a good time in Frankfurt. Definitely changed my life, that period of my life as well.
Yeah, well, one of my highlight experiences of that whole journey. Hey guys, I appreciate the time. Like we say in Spanish, igualmente. So it's been my pleasure as well.
Hey, thanks, Dave, for being on the show. And that's Stand Tall with Dave and Rob and David Diaz. Thanks, man.
You got it. Take care, guys.
Bye.
All right. Well, Dave, we'll keep it on going. What an interesting interview.
Yeah, Dave is one of the nicest guys I've ever met. I can honestly tell you that. We'll have to get a copy of this down to him somehow.
Yep.
His wife was super great also. She's quite a volleyball player. And then their kids are super athletic, obviously. We had a blast. Judy didn't actually hit golf balls that day. She doesn't play yet. I think she wants to try. But David's wife was just coming to the game in this last year. And it was just so fun. He's just so down to earth. It's amazing. And it's proven out what I've always thought, Rob. It doesn't matter really how famous somebody really is. The other day, my last story, like David, I think David might be, just nice from the get-go. But Lane Kiffin was on 30 for 30 the other day.
Yeah.
Now, Lane Kiffin is a college football coach,
Yep.
been a little NFL. Had a reputation of being kind of surly,
surly,
little cocky, lot cocky. You name all those words. He got the rep. Kind of 2-3 years at a school and bouncing USC. I think
Tennessee,
Texas. I don't know. He went to a lot of different places. Yeah. He's now at Ole Miss, and I just sit down and watch the show. Didn't plan on doing this, and been through divorce, got 2 kids, and he was ready to leave Ole Miss and go to Auburn. This is what he's always done. He goes in, turns him around. I mean, the guy can coach. And so he ends up, he kind of wears out his welcome at the same time. And so it's what we don't know until we know it. And I'm like watching the show. I would love to meet Lane Kiffin because what happened is his daughter decides to, after he's been going all around the country, he's really not around his kids most of their childhood. She's going off to college. He's at Ole Miss. She decides to come to Ole Miss. Then after 1 year, he's going to go. He's going to go to Auburn. This is what he does. He comes in 2, 3, 4 years, he's gone. And so she sits down with a bunch of her friends. They come to his office or something like that. I think it was his office. They put together a whole video on why she did not want him to leave. She wanted him to stay at Ole Miss because she was there and she wanted a relationship with her dad, Lane Kiffin. Beautiful girl, super sweet, super nice, loves her dad, no opportunity. And then he comes in and watches the video and starts crying. And he's still at Ole Miss, and he's going to stay at Ole Miss, and he wants to have a relationship with his daughter and his high school son, and they moved there. His ex-wife, they co-parent together. Sounds like they get along really good. They were having dinner. They're not married anymore, and they co-parent, and the whole family, including his brother, lives right down the street from him, and they've reconnected with his family, and it's like one of those really cool endings to a story of. We don't really know Lane Kiffin until we know Lane Kiffin. Sure. We don't really know, David Diaz until we sit down and spend an hour with him here on a talk show.
We don't really know Donald Trump. I know you met Mike Lindell, who
yes.
gave you the impression Donald Trump was way different than he's been portrayed in the media.
Absolutely. And so I think we have to put this shoe on our feet too. When we, like last night, being in front of the ice building, Rob, it was chaotic. It was crazy. I think the people down there are very confused. They're very angry. And I think that's the bad things that have happened with legacy media and all the misconceptions, the half truths, the quarter truths, the not truths, the lying. It's created a lot of angry people like that, and that's very, very, very unfortunate. Because I think if people down there are still people, whether we agree with them or not, we have to stop arguing. And so I would say to everybody, if anybody listens to this thing, and you're mad at an ICE agent or President Trump, or you're mad at AOC, or you're mad at Bernie Sanders. We need to take a pause and sit back and say, why don't I not say anything about AOC until I've had an opportunity to sit down and actually talk to her? Now, I can form an opinion for sure, but we have to be very careful about calling people racist, homophobic, Nazis, until we really know that person. And I think once we do that, that's one of the things we're trying to talk about at Stand Tall, Rob, is a lot higher character and a lot more patience. And like these ICE agents last night that I saw 200 or 300 people screaming the most awful, vile things that these people use the F word, every other word, is they're Americans, they're people. You may be surprised that you could sit down and have a barbecue with them very easily. But since they have a uniform on and they're police officers, they're not ICE officers, they're police ICE officers, that you may have a lot more in common with them than you think. And so, Rob, I always appreciate you being here. It's been a tough morning on the tech side for you.
Yeah.
We're working out wrinkles, but what's your final thoughts on David Diaz?
Well, again, I always enjoy meeting people who have gone through adversity, and survived and thrived in the face of adversity. I mentioned that he was a Super Bowl champion, and his first statement was like, well, remember, I was cut 9 times. So you get very humble.
That's
very,
a powerful statement.
Very genuine. Yeah, going from Super Bowl to, I was cut 9 times. So, a guy that definitely keeps it in perspective. I definitely appreciate his authenticity, the fact that he was just a genuine person. Obviously, he cares for this country. He's in a position where he wants to lead a group of young men. So that's obviously very admirable. Again, being in those private school environments, there's a lot of factors, alumni, administration, the state association, people who think you recruit. There's all kinds of factors that go into that work against him. So for him to actually get them to at least get one of those victories, that was a huge thing. So really appreciate having him on the show. And again, looking forward to having him back again.
And he's not just an average high school. This has been a school that's had in the past a tremendous amount of success in multiple sports. And so that creates a lot of pressure. Anytime you coach, when you have a winning season or 2 or 3 or 4, and then you don't have a winning season, I've been on both ends of that. Oh boy. Yeah, your naysayers come out.
And you go to be, from being a pro player where you have everything really kind of handed to you to a high school situation where maybe half the faculty thinks you get too much and they feel like you're not really representing the school well. Then there's the alumni and, there's money boosters and there's all kinds of factors that go into play at that high school level that you're not dealing with as a professional. Professional is just about, let's keep my job, but in that high school, you're dealing with admin, you're dealing with discipline, you're dealing with picking kids up from school, you're getting kids home from school. It's just a lot to deal with.
One thing that David gets, though, an hour now, many, many hours a day, we're in Bend together. The thing that he gets, I know he gets it because him and I are a lot alike. He gets the fact that when those kids he's coaching now are 30, 35, 40, one of the greatest things in the world is they walk up to you and they go, Coach. And, they give you a hug and they're going, you remember when? And there was that day where you had to sit down with them and explain something tough, or when you got a house full of people here after one of your kids dies in a terrible car wreck on the last day of the season, and you're trying to explain to a 16, 17, 18-year-old why, and the emotions. And I think the most emotional thing I ever went through is when Alex Weiler passed away on the last day of our tension. He was in my truck at 3:30, and at 6 o'clock he passed away after he hit a tree in a family vehicle. And that night our house was just full of people within 45 minutes. Most of them slept overnight. We're talking 50, 60 kids, some parents. And I remember when the memorial happened at George Fox University in Bauman. Bauman seats about 1,200.
Yeah, something like that. Yep.
And it was packed. And all the schools came from other schools with their uniforms, full tennis programs, coaches, everybody, full uniforms. But we had one of our people connected to the program made a big wheel up, 2 wheels, like bicycle wheels, because Alex's name was Alex Weiler. They called him Wheels because him and his dad would ride bicycles in high end. So they took the 2 bike wheels off of Alex's bicycle, and he put these clamps on them, and then we all had to go up there and put our tennis racket in the clamp. So it looked like a big fan. And then Braden Milroy, one of my favorite kids of all time, just got married this year. I love Braden and his whole family. And Braden had to be the guy. We picked him on purpose because he was calm and cool and collected, and he was a bit mechanical. Now he's a lot mechanical, very successful. And Braden took the first tire off wheel and then put the second one on there. And it was not easy to do. I tried it and couldn't do it in front of 1,200 people at your teammates' memorial. And so I remember sitting there as a coach, and Braden did this, and I'm tearing up while he's doing it, because I'm sitting there going, the pressure on a 17-year-old Braden Milroy in front of 1,200 people for Alex and for the family was one of the most emotional things I've ever experienced. And I had to go up and give the talk with my co-coach Aaron Rouch that day. And Rob, I got to tell you, when I look back at like how Dave's looking at the kids he's coaching, I noticed something you did this morning. A typical dad. We always have flapjacks and bacon. And Rob and I have been doing this for a year now, and I love this time. But your son Adam came over this morning. Yep. We sat down to eat, and Adam's picky like me, which I love it. And didn't have a lot of orange juice left. We're low, and I poured 1 glass for Rob. Rob loves his OJ. And I said, Rob, you want some milk? He goes, no, I don't do milk. And Adam goes, I like orange juice. And I didn't have any more to give him, but Rob just, without even a second blink, you just give the orange juice to your son. And that's what you do as a parent. That's what you do as a coach. That's what David Diaz is doing in the Jesuit School in San Jose, California. And he is impacting young people who will go out and impact many others. So, Rob, I know you're a great dad. That didn't surprise me you did that at all. And that's what we need to do. We need to serve other people. So, Rob, anything to close with?
No, just hope you have a great week. And we didn't even get into any of the ORP stuff. I know that was crazy last week, but we'll have to kind of talk about that maybe at a later show when some of that stuff settles down. So Dave just came back from the ORP convention last weekend. That's why we weren't on. But let's catch up next week about that. Let's let some of those storylines kind of play out. I know there's some high emotions, some things like that going on.
I seriously have to pray really hard because I'm extremely frustrated with the ORP and how things were ran, and I get frustrated when things aren't ran well. And to me, it's like there's the right way and the wrong way, and then there's the lazy way. And I feel like we took the lazy way running this thing, and it was really hard. It's still. I kind of left a meeting early last night on the phone because I'm like, I just don't feel like they get it. But, that's a story for next week.
Yeah, we'll talk next time. Anyway, have a great week, bud.
This is Stand Tall with Dave and Rob. We're out of here. Cool. Great question on the Galaxy.
He remembered.
He loved it over there.
Yeah.
Holy cow. It wasn't like it was okay.
Dude, they would draw 73,000 people to those things. It was great. They marketed at them as basically, like I said, rock concerts. Like the tailgates were something they never did before. The thing that killed it, I guarantee, and I meant to ask David about it, was that that the soccer people hated that they tore up their field.
Oh, which would happen.
They know what Let me get out of this here.
You were barking on the show. Well, I gotta get my voice heard. Yeah, I gotta get my voice heard, huh? Yeah.
Okay, so Better World. Remember a long time ago we started this Better World um, fundraising thing for Dads for Daughters.
Hmm.
So we still have $946 that we raised through that.
No way.
Yeah, and we have to withdraw it. It has to get withdrawn, or else it'll.
What bank is it in?
It goes into. Let me see here. It goes into the account ending 3128. Is that Judy's? Or I didn't want to.
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't want to do that until, but I thought, man, we could get it. I know we're trying to get that camera and stuff. That would cover that camera
Okay.
for the most part.
Oh, that's awesome news. That's kind of fun.
But I forgot about that, and I was checking it the other day. It's like, oh yeah, we need to withdraw that, or else we'll lose it.
Oh, yeah.
Those are people. The other thing we can actually show your payments received. It gives you like all the email addresses of all the people. Like some people, like this lady gave $438.
What's her name?
Peggy McDowell Spencer. I'm not sure if you know her or not, but
We need to send an email back out and say what we're doing with that money then.
yeah. So
Okay.
so here's all the list. I mean, I'll
Can
have
you
to
send that to me?
give you this list. I'll see if we can figure this out, how to do it here.
So we've got, that's really good news, man. That's awesome. That's $1,000.
Let me see what that downloaded as here. Yeah, so that'll at least help us get us, see if this is gonna open up here real quick. So these just give you the names and stuff, but I don't know, we might be able to figure out a way to get at least some of these big people, like the person who did it $400 or whatever. $200 right here. $113.
Well, that just gave me a good idea though, Rob.
Rebecca Weiland, you know any of these names? Rebecca Weiland,
Uh-oh.
Loretta Johnson, Kelly Thomas, Peggy McDowell Spencer. She's given us a lot of money actually. So anyway, I'll go ahead and withdraw that funds to that account, or should I wait?
Can you do that?
Can I? What do you mean? Can I wait, or can I do?
Can you do it?
I can do it right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's get the money out of there so we're safe.
So it'll take up to 5 days.
Ending in 3128.
Yeah, 3128. So anyway, I